The story opens in a quiet, sun-drenched Apache village nestled between the rugged mesas and sweeping desert plains. Dust rises in the warm wind, and the landscape stretches endlessly under a pale blue sky. Within this vast wilderness, life is tightly interwoven with nature and tradition, and every villager's actions are guided by the wisdom of ancestors. Yet, even in a place where strength and resilience are prized, tragedy does not spare anyone. Dakota, a respected warrior of the village, kneels beside a freshly dug grave. His hands are calloused from years of hunting and defending his people, but they tremble now, helpless in the face of grief. His beloved wife, Ayoka, lies beneath the earth, taken suddenly by a fever that no medicine, prayer, or ritual could halt. Dakota had fought many battles, faced countless dangers, and yet nothing had prepared him for this loss. The grief is raw, piercing, and relentless. Memories of her smile, her laughter, and the quiet moments they shared at dusk flood his mind. Each memory is both a comfort and a wound, a reminder of the life he has lost and the emptiness that now surrounds him. The village watches in solemn silence. Dakota is known for his bravery and unwavering loyalty, and the loss of his wife resonates deeply within the community. Elders approach him cautiously, offering words of condolence that feel inadequate. They speak of the cycles of life, of spirits returning to the earth, but Dakota hears only the echo of her absence. His heart is heavy not only with personal grief, but with the weight of expectation. In the Apache tradition, the bond between husband and wife is sacred, and the death of a spouse leaves a void that must be honored with patience, respect, and strength. Dakota wonders if he possesses enough of all three as he straightens. Brushing the dust from his hands, a shadow moves along the edge of the village. Dakota looks up, his eyes narrowing through tears, uncertain at first if it is a mirage of his sorrow or something real. Then he sees her, a familiar figure approaching with purposeful steps. It is Ayoka's sister Mika, who has traveled from her distant settlement upon hearing the news. She carries a bundle of essentials and wears a determined expression, yet her eyes reveal sorrow that mirrors Dakota's own. She has come not merely as a mourner, but as someone who intends to help, to step into the void left by her sister's passing and offer support in practical ways. Dakota's first reaction is a mixture of surprise, relief, and unease. He is grateful for the assistance. Someone must tend to the household, ensure food and water are available, and manage the daily tasks he can no longer face with clarity. Yet, Mika's presence also awakens memories of Ayoka, making the loss even sharper. The sight of her sister's familiar features is both comforting and painful, a reminder of what he has lost as the sun sets behind the mesas, painting the sky in streaks of crimson and gold. Dakota stands silently, grappling with the storm of emotions within him. He is a warrior accustomed to facing death on the battlefield, yet this personal loss feels insurmountable. The wind whispers through the village, carrying with it the scent of sage and the distant call of a hawk, as if the natural world itself mourns with him. This opening scene sets the stage for the story's exploration of grief, healing, and the delicate emergence of new relationships. It establishes Dakota as a deeply human character, one who embodies strength yet is vulnerable to loss. It also introduces Mika as a catalyst for change, a presence that will challenge Dakota's sorrow, confront his lingering guilt, and gradually open a path toward connection, trust, and eventually love. The story begins at the crossroads of mourning and hope, where the echoes of the past meet the faint stirrings of a future yet to be written. The morning after Ayoka's funeral is quiet, almost unnervingly so. The village is slowly returning to its routine, but the weight of grief still hangs heavily over Dakota. He moves through the day in a haze, performing tasks mechanically checking the trap lines, tending to the small garden and mending tools, but each movement feels hollow without Ayoka by his side. The home they shared seems emptier than ever, the silence echoing in corners that once rang with laughter. It is at this fragile moment that Mika arrives. The younger sister, carrying the determination of one who has journeyed far, enters the village just as the sun casts golden light across the mesas. She has traveled from a distant settlement upon learning of her sister's passing, driven by love for both her sibling and the widower left behind. Mika's presence is immediately noticeable. She walks with a quiet confidence, her eyes alert to every detail, and she carries not only supplies but a willingness to shoulder responsibility. Her arrival is both practical and symbolic in extension. Of Ayoka's care, a reminder that life continues even in the face of sorrow. Dakota notices her first from a distance. His initial reaction is a mixture of surprise, caution, and an instinctive protectiveness. He is wary of allowing anyone close. So soon after his loss, especially someone whose presence stirs memories of the wife he has buried. Mika, however, approaches with respect, bowing slightly in greeting, acknowledging the depth of his grief without intrusion. She speaks softly, offering condolences and gently stating her purpose. She has come to help, to ease the burden of household tasks, and to honor Ayoka by assisting her widowed husband. The first interactions between Dakota and Mika are tentative. Dakota is not accustomed to accepting help, especially from someone who reminds him of Ayoka. He struggles internally, torn between gratitude for her presence and the sharp pain of memories that resurface at every glance. Mika senses his hesitancy and allows him space, understanding that healing cannot be rushed. She quietly begins her work around the household, repairing the hearth, fetching water, and preparing meals, all while maintaining a respectful distance. Despite the initial awkwardness, Mika's presence gradually begins to have a subtle effect on Dakota. Her voice, calm and measured, brings a quiet rhythm to the house that had been absent since Ayoka's death. She recounts small, gentle stories of her sister memories that make Dakota smile despite his grief, and she listens patiently when he speaks of his sorrow. In this way, Mika begins to create a bridge between the past and the present, allowing Dakota to remember Ayoka without being trapped by the weight of her absence. Mika herself is not immune to the emotional complexity of the situation. She feels the sting of loss for her sister, but she also perceives the vulnerability of Dakota, the depth of his grief, and the practical needs of a home now left unattended. She recognizes that her presence may be met with hesitation, yet she persists, motivated by compassion and a quiet courage. Each small task she performs is an act of service and a gesture of love, not only toward Dakota, but as a continuation of her sister's legacy. By the end of the day, the dynamics of the household begin to shift. Dakota, though still grappling with sorrow, finds a measure of relief in Mika's efforts. There is a subtle softening in his demeanor, an acknowledgement that life can continue, and that help can come from unexpected places. The stage is set for a slow, tentative bond to develop a connection born not of romantic intention yet, but of trust, shared grief, and the practical need for companionship. This part of the story establishes Mika as both a compassionate caretaker and a catalyst for change. Her arrival introduces the first seeds of emotional connection, setting up the tension between grief and emerging hope. Through her presence, Dakota is offered a lifeline, a chance to navigate the chasm of loss and begin the difficult, delicate journey toward healing and acceptance. Days turn into weeks in the small Apache village, and the rhythm of life continues even under the shadow of loss. Dakota's grief, though still heavy, begins to take on a subtler form, not the raw, burning sorrow of immediate mourning, but a dull ache tempered by routine and reflection. It is during this period that Mika's presence becomes more than a practical support. She begins to bridge the emotional gap between the past Dakota shared with Ayoka and the uncertain future that stretches ahead. From morning to dusk, Mika works alongside Dakota. She tends the garden with nimble hands, fetches water from the distant stream, and repairs items around the house. Each task is performed with quiet competence, yet it is the way she performs them, with thoughtfulness and consideration for Dakota's needs, that begins to capture his attention. The warrior, accustomed to facing physical dangers and challenges, now finds himself navigating the subtler, more treacherous territory of emotional vulnerability. Mika's diligence and presence force him to confront his own feelings of loneliness and helplessness. He notices her small gestures, the way she arranges his spear by the hearth or leaves a warm meal ready after a long day. These acts, simple, yet intimate, begin to stir something dormant in his heart. The two also share stories and memories. Mika recalls moments from her sister's life, playful anecdotes, small traditions, and the lessons Ayoka had imparted. At first, these recollections are painful, reminding Dakota of the void left by her absence. Yet, gradually, they also serve as a reminder of love's endurance. Mika's stories are filled with humor, warmth, and compassion, and through them, Dakota begins to see Ayoka's spirit reflected in her sister. He realizes that the love he felt for Ayoka does not have to be extinguished by death. Instead, it can coexist with new bonds and new forms of connection. A subtle emotional intimacy develops between them. They begin to understand each other in ways that transcend words. When Dakota hesitates over a task, Mika intuitively steps forward. When Mika faces challenges, Dakota offers silent support. These exchanges are not yet expressions of romance, but they lay the groundwork for trust and mutual reliance. They begin to feel less like two individuals separated by grief and more like companions navigating life's hardships together. Yet the path is not free from conflict. Dakota struggles with guilt and the lingering sense of loyalty to Ayoka. Every time he feels a spark of appreciation or perhaps something deeper for Mika, he immediately chastises himself, fearing betrayal of his late wife's memory. Mika, too, wrestles with her emotions. She knows that developing feelings for Dakota is complicated, laden with the weight of her sister's absence. She fears misjudgment, both from herself and from the village. Despite this, she continues to act with compassion and patience, understanding that healing cannot be rushed and that connection must grow naturally. A turning point occurs when a small but significant crisis strikes. Perhaps a stray animal threatens the village or a sudden storm damages the crops. In this moment, Dakota and Mika are forced to act together, relying on one another's instincts, strength, and quick thinking. Their coordination is seamless, a reflection of mutual respect and understanding. The danger is overcome, and in its aftermath, both feel an unspoken recognition. They are stronger together. This shared experience deepens their bond and allows them to see each other as more than helpers or mourners, as partners in the truest sense. By the end of Part 3, the foundation for a deeper relationship has been laid. Dakota's grief, though still present, is tempered by the comfort of Mika's companionship. He begins to glimpse the possibility of joy again, understanding that love can exist in new forms without dishonoring the past. Mika, in turn, recognizes that her role in his life is evolving from caretaker to confidant, from sister-in-law to something potentially more profound. Their relationship, built on shared grief, respect, and small acts of care, sets the stage for the delicate, tentative steps toward love and acceptance that will unfold in the next part of the story. As the weeks progress, the quiet bond between Dakota and Mika becomes more noticeable to the village. The Apache community, tightly knit and rooted in tradition, observes behavior with keen eyes. Every gesture, every shared glance, and every cooperative effort does not escape notice. While Takota's grief for Ayoka is understood and respected, the elders begin to recognize the growing closeness between the widowed warrior and his late wife's sister. In a culture that values both family ties and communal harmony, this development brings subtle tension that the whispers begin softly at first. Elderly women remark on how Mika tirelessly tends to the household and how Takota, once withdrawn and somber, now seems more composed, even attentive in ways he had not been since Ayoka's passing. Men in the village notice the mutual respect and understanding the two share, and some view it favorably. Practical support and continuity of family roles are highly valued. Yet others question the appropriateness of such closeness. They worry it may disrespect Ayoka's memory or appear opportunistic. Even though neither Takota nor Mika has acted with any intentional disregard for tradition, Takota himself feels the growing scrutiny acutely. Every interaction with Mika, from shared work in the garden to moments of quiet conversation, is now tinged with self-consciousness. He grapples internally with conflicting emotions, a budding fondness and appreciation for Mika, coupled with guilt for even considering a life beyond Ayoka. The shadow of loss looms over every thought, making him question whether his desire for companionship is a betrayal of his late wife's memory. At night, he wrestles with dreams where Ayoka's presence lingers, sometimes accusatory, sometimes sorrowful, reminding him of the complex intersection between love, loyalty, and duty. Mika, too, experiences her own internal conflict. She knows her affection for Takota is natural and not rooted in malice, yet the societal and familial implications weigh heavily. Each time she laughs with him or offers support that evokes a smile, she is aware of the delicate balance she must maintain. She wants to honor her sister's memory, yet she cannot ignore her own needs and emotions. Her dilemma is one of morality, propriety, and self-acknowledgement, understanding that the heart can grieve, yet also yearn for connection. Amid this tension, subtle events challenge them further. A village elder may question Takota directly about his intentions, or a neighbor might hint at the community's unease. These small confrontations, while not hostile, force Takota and Mika to reflect on their own feelings and motivations. They must discern what is driven by genuine care versus what might be influenced by grief, obligation, or societal expectation. These moments act as mirrors, reflecting their vulnerabilities and fears back at them and highlighting the need for emotional honesty. Despite the pressure, Takota and Mika continue to lean on each other. Their shared experiences, work, rituals for Ayoka's spirit, and everyday survival solidify a partnership built on respect and trust. Each collaborative effort serves as a reminder that while grief shapes their past, cooperation and shared commitment shape their present and future. Slowly, they begin to accept that their emerging bond is not a replacement for what was lost, but an evolution of life and care. Part 4 highlights the delicate interplay between personal emotion and societal expectation. Takota and Mika are navigating an emotionally charged environment where culture, tradition, and communal observation amplify the challenges of moving forward. Their struggle is internal and external. Internally, they confront grief, guilt, and longing. Externally, they face the nuanced pressure of a community deeply attentive to social norms. By the end of this part, both characters are more self-aware. Takota begins to recognize that his heart is capable of holding both memory and hope, while Mika understands that honoring her sister does not preclude seeking her own happiness. The stage is set for the eventual acceptance of love, not as of betrayal. but as a continuation of life and evolution of family and community bonds that will lead into the next chapter of their journey. The slow tension that has been building between Dakota and Mika begins to shift as the days progress. The village's whispers, while still present, have started to fade into background noise as their actions prove rooted in respect and duty rather than impropriety. For Dakota, the turning point is not marked by a grand gesture, but by a quiet realization. He has been allowing himself to feel alive again, to find solace and warmth in Mika's presence without diminishing the memory of Ayoka. The distinction is subtle yet profound. He begins to understand that the love he feels now is not a replacement of the past, but a continuation of the care, connection, and intimacy that his life requires. Their mornings are no longer just about completing chores. They are shared moments of companionship. Mika greets Dakota with thoughtful gestures, a cup of herbal tea prepared just the way he likes it, a song softly sung while working, or stories that spark laughter and reflection. Dakota, in turn, begins to notice these nuances, appreciating the quiet patience and attentiveness that Mika brings. These daily interactions cultivate a sense of ease between them, slowly transforming respect into admiration and then into affection. They learn the unspoken language of one another's moods, anticipating needs, offering comfort without expectation, and sharing glances that linger a heartbeat too long. Mika's perspective also evolves. Initially, she approached her stay-in, the village, as a duty away to honor Ayoka's memory and assist Dakota. Over time, however, she becomes aware of her own emotions. She notices how she feels a sense of fulfillment and security in Dakota's presence, a warmth she had not anticipated. These emotions do not erase her grief but coexist with it, forming a complex tapestry of love, loyalty, and hope. Mika recognizes that her growing affection is natural, a reflection of human resilience and the capacity to heal alongside those who matter most. A key catalyst in their journey toward acceptance occurs during a shared moment of vulnerability. Perhaps one evening, after a long day of work, they sit by the fire in silence. The night is calm, the stars bright above the desert plains. Dakota finally speaks of his fears, the worry that moving forward might dishonor Ayoka, the unease of allowing himself to feel joy again, and the uncertainty of the community's judgment. Mika listens patiently, validating his emotions while gently encouraging him to recognize that love is not finite. It can expand, embracing both memory and the present. This conversation, tender and honest, marks a turning point where emotional honesty lays the foundation for love. As their connection deepens, subtle signs of romantic affection emerge. A hand lightly brushing against another during work, lingering eye contact during shared tasks, or a protective gesture during an unexpected challenge all signify the shift from mere companionship to a mutual recognition of desire and intimacy. Both Dakota and Mika experience the tension of these feelings, grappling with the balance of respect for Ayoka and acknowledgement of their own heart's needs. The progression is slow and deliberate, mirroring the natural unfolding of healing and attraction rather than a sudden, impulsive leap. By the end of Part 5, Dakota and Mika reach an understanding. They can honor the past while embracing the future. Their love is a conscious choice, informed by grief, gratitude, and genuine affection. The warrior realizes that honoring Ayoka's memory does not mean closing his heart to life, and Mika understands that her devotion to her sister's memory can coexist with her own desires. Together, they take the first steps toward fully acknowledging their feelings, preparing for the formalization of their bond in a way that respects tradition, family, and their own emotional truths. This part emphasizes the emotional turning point. In the story, the delicate balance between grief and acceptance, memory and present joy, respect and personal desire. Dakota and Mika's journey toward love is portrayed as a natural, compassionate evolution, a testament to resilience, understanding, and the enduring human capacity to heal and connect. Their acceptance of love signifies not only personal growth, but also a readiness to navigate the next chapter with honesty, courage, and mutual devotion. The days following Dakota and Mika's quiet acknowledgement of their feelings are filled with a mixture of anticipation, reflection, and preparation. Their bond, once tentative and cautious, has evolved into a conscious commitment to one another. The village, having observed their growing closeness and the harmony of their shared responsibilities, begins to offer subtle support, particularly from elders who value family continuity and resilience. What was once the subject of whispered speculation now transforms into a cautious optimism. The community senses that life, though scarred by grief, can continue in new, meaningful ways. The story reaches its emotional crescendo in the preparations for a union that is both personal and communal. Dakota and Mika, aware of cultural customs and traditions, approach this new chapter with respect and intentionality. The ceremony is designed to honor Ayoka's memory while celebrating the love that has emerged between them. Rituals are carefully observed. Offerings are made to the spirits. Prayers are whispered to seek guidance, and symbolic acts are performed to signify the blending of past and present. This careful balance underscores the story's central theme, that honoring the past does not preclude embracing the future. As the day of the ceremony approaches, Dakota feels a mixture of anticipation and humility. He is acutely aware that this moment represents not only a personal milestone, but a reaffirmation of his role within the community. Standing in the presence of elders, friends, and family, he acknowledges both his grief for Ayoka and his gratitude for Mika's support, patience, and unwavering care. Mika, too, experiences a profound mixture of emotion, sorrow for the sister she has lost, pride in the role she has played in Dakota's healing, and hope for the shared life they are about to embark upon. Their vulnerability in this moment is a testament to the depth of their bond and the authenticity of their feelings. The ceremony itself is a delicate dance of tradition and emotion. Dakota and Mika exchange vows that honor their shared past while expressing a commitment to one another. Their hands are joined not only as a symbol of romantic union, but also as a representation of trust, partnership, and resilience. The community witnesses this act with respect and quiet approval, recognizing that their bond strengthens the fabric of the village rather than threatening it. Elders offer blessings, emphasizing that love, when rooted in sincerity and respect, is a continuation of life rather than a replacement of what has been lost. Following the formal ceremony, the couple shares small, intimate moments that encapsulate the promise of a new life together. They walk along the ridges that overlook the desert, feeling the wind against their faces, and observe the sun setting in brilliant hues of orange and red. This landscape, which had once been a silent witness to grief, now reflects hope and possibility. Dakota and Mika speak softly, sharing dreams, plans, and silent affirmations, realizing that their journey has only just begun. The beauty of this new beginning is not merely in the romantic union, but in the deeper understanding they have cultivated, that love is resilient, adaptive, and capable of coexisting with memory and loss. This part of the story serves as both the climax and the resolution, where emotional tension finds release and narrative threads converge. Dakota and Mika's union is more than a marriage. It symbolizes the triumph of compassion over sorrow, connection over isolation, and hope over despair. It conveys a message that grief, though profound, can evolve into something sustaining and life-affirming when met with patience, courage, and human kindness. By the conclusion of Part 6, the couple has achieved a harmonious balance between honoring the past and embracing the future. Dakota's grief has softened into remembrance rather than pain, and Mika's dedication has blossomed into shared joy and love. Together, they face the world as partners, strengthened by experience, bonded by compassion, and ready to navigate life's challenges. The story closes on a note of serenity and optimism, with Dakota and Mika standing side by side, looking out over the vast, sunlit expanse of their homeland, a landscape that now mirrors the possibilities of their shared life ahead.